Hello, welcome to People in Perspective. Today joining us on the show is Kyle Boyd, a science teacher here at RB. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. Have you had any prior jobs before coming to RB?
Several. I actually graduated from North Central College and got my bachelor's in athletic training before I went into teaching. So I worked for 2 years as an athletic trainer. Then I went back to school to become a teacher, and while doing that, I worked as a janitor for 2 years full-time, and then worked some odd jobs teaching, different maternity leaves at Nutrier and Maine South.
Oh, nice. All right. So what sparked your interest in science?
I've always been very inquisitive and very curious about the world around me. My father was really good at fostering that as I grew up, and he got me involved in Boy Scouts. I eventually became an Eagle Scout.
Oh, that's a high honor.
Yes.
My dad's an Eagle Scout too.
That's fantastic. So as we proceeded through everything, I got to learn a lot about the outdoors, got to ask a lot of questions, learn a lot about nature, and that really I just kept running with it. I was always fascinated by it.
Oh, nice. So have you worked at any other schools other than RB?
Yep, I worked at Nutrier High School up in Winnetka, and I also worked at Maine South High School in Park Ridge.
So did you teach science there too?
Yes, at Nutrier I taught biomechanics and sports medicine, and then at Maine South I taught honors biology, regular biology, another regular biology class, and a chemistry class.
So you've got quite the spectrum there.
Yes.
All right. So how long have you taught at RB?
This is my 4th year here at RB.
And have you taught science the whole time?
Yes, I've taught almost every science class while being here.
So what does that include?
Earth science, biology, chemistry, and physics.
And currently you're teaching biology?
Honors biology and earth science, yes.
All right. So what's the hardest part in your job?
Hardest part is honestly, time management, just like my students.
Yeah.
It's making sure I'm on top of things, making sure I have everything ready for the next day, that everything runs smoothly because the show must go on no matter what.
Yeah. So coming back to time management, how do you find a balance between work life and home life?
Sure. I was actually talking to one of my students about this last period. I like block scheduling, which is kind of a way that I learned about from Elon Musk, different videos about him. And so he schedules his day really precisely, almost micromanaging. Wow. And that really helps me to schedule my day. I usually schedule down to about 15-minute intervals.
Wow, so that's
what
pretty
I'm doing.
Specific.
Yep, but it really helps me with my own attention deficit. I have ADHD, and so it helps keep me in focus.
Yeah, I should probably work on that too. All right, so in the future, how do you plan to grow or expand your presence at RB?
Sure. So I'm currently one of the chess coaches here at RB. This year I just became a co-sponsor with Mr. Monty to be one of the Ecology Club sponsors. And then this year we're also really pushing and really getting the table tennis club started. So been really working a lot of clubs and trying to get things going.
We've had some announcements about that here.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. You guys should come out.
So do you have any funny stories from your teaching career?
Yes, my first time when I was student teaching still, I was passing out my very first test, and I passed it out to the first student, I passed it out to the second student, and when I passed it to the second student, my hip bumped into the eye wash station, and the water came up over my head and soaked the student and their test. So immediately had to turn it off, and we tried to dry everything, and I was freaking out because it was my first test I ever gave as a student teacher, and it was pretty crazy.
So if you hadn't become a teacher, what do you think you'd be doing today?
Sure. I've always, I entered college as a physical therapy major and a jazz minor. So I've always had a love for music and medicine and science. So if I wasn't a science teacher, I'd probably be practicing in the field of medicine, either in athletic training or I've contemplated before going back to be an orthopedic surgeon. And then also I've always loved music, so I would love to go into musicianship, but it's a little bit harder to make money there than it is as a doctor.
There's a lot of competition there.
Absolutely.
So where did you go to college?
I went to college in North Central College. It's a really small school in Naperville. It's about 3,000 students total.
So it's twice the population of RB?
Yes, and only slightly bigger than my high school, so it was an interesting transition between the two.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Hillside, not too far from here. I grew up by the intersection of Wolf and Butterfield, if you're familiar with that. But yeah, just a little house over in Hillside.
Oh, that's nice. So where'd you go to high school?
Sure. I went to Proviso West High School. It's in Hillside. It's just a couple blocks from my parents' house. I went there for 4 years and had a blast.
Yeah. So going back to your high school experience, would you do it over if you could?
It's a great question. I really enjoyed it, and I really had a lot of fun. And I think I would probably go back and do it all again if I could. It'd be a lot of fun, and I think I do some things a little better this time around.
So relating to science and high school, did you do anything like say a science club or an ecology club?
Sure. At my high school, we didn't really have a science club that I was aware of or an ecology club that I was aware of. I was a 3-sport athlete, so I was usually involved in those. I did chess for a while. I also did a lot of other extracurriculars, National Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, Key Club, National Honor Society, several other things, along with doing Boy Scouts and getting my Eagle
Yeah.
Scout. But I did take 4 years of science, and I did make sure I put a lot of work into those classes.
So it seems you have quite the resume.
Yes.
Yes. So, well, thank you for coming on the show. This has been People in Perspective. I'm Carter, and I'll see you next time.